morning, boys and girls. Welcome back to Woodland Wanderers. If you have been following us each day, you will know we now have 4 clues from Woodland Wesley, the Woodland Tracker. Follow me, listen and obey, even the wind and waves obey him, and bread and fish. Who knows what his clue will be for today? Oh, Dr. Falls, you have decided to join us this morning. Did you enjoy your yoga session this morning? You do your yoga to make you feel nice and calm, is that correct?
Yes, it makes me calm and all my emotions and sets me up for a good day of exploring.
Well, I have a game to play this morning all about my emotions. I hope you're good at the game Simon Says. Let's play. So remember, Simon says, you do it, and if Simon doesn't say, you don't do it.
Right,
Ready?
got it. Yep.
Simon says, make a happy face. Simon says, make an angry face. Simon says, make a worried face. Make a happy face. Out. Ah. Try it again.
Right, I'm ready.
Make a sad face.
Ah, that wasn't fair. That was the first one.
Okay. Simon says, make a sad face. Simon says, make a happy face. Simon says, make an angry face. Simon says, make a worried face. Happy face. Well, you're not very good at that. But
No.
Talking about emotions, our song for the week has an emotion in the title. Let's listen, sing and dance to it now. Let's go a little crazy.
Come on, clap your hands. Here we go. That's it. Yeah, we're all in this together and we're having fun. We're here to spread the love of God to everyone. Gonna get a little crazy, yeah, a little wild. Here we go now, come give it a try. Move it to the left now. Move it to the right. Find someone you don't know and give them a high five. Stomp your feet louder. Yeah, you guys are doing awesome. Wave your hands up high. Come on. Find somebody else now and give them a high five. Let's go. Here to spread the love of God to everyone. Gonna get a little crazy, yeah, a little wild. Here we go now. Come give it a try. Move it to the left now. Move it to the left now. Move it to the right. Move it to the right. Find someone you don't know and give them a high five. Come on, you guys are moving great. Stomp your feet louder. Stomp your feet. Wave your hands up high. Come on, wave them up. Find somebody else now. Give them a high five. Yeah, 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 yeah. Oh, 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 oh. Come on, one more time. Move it to the left now. Move it to the right. Find someone you don't know and give them a high five. Oh, stomp your feet louder. Wave your hands up high. Wave your hands up high. Find somebody else now and give them a high five. Oh, 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 oh,
Dr. Falls, do you know that sometimes I feel all different emotions when I'm around you? Like, sometimes I'm happy to see you. Sometimes I'm sad. Sometimes I am angry. And a lot of the time, I am confused. But that's okay though, as I know we are great friends, and I know no matter how I am feeling, we will always be there for one another.
Aww, that was sweet and a bit soppy. Let's go and see what the craft is for today.
Hello and welcome to day 5 of Woodland Wanderers Welcome Craft. Today we're going to be making a friendship bracelet, and we're going to weave it using a circular card loom. I'm going to show you now what you need to make this craft. To make your friendship bracelet, you need some firm card, like you would get to make up a cereal box. You need a pencil to draw a circle. You need something about that size, a cup, so that you can draw around it to make a circle. You need some scissors to help you to cut out, and you need 7 pieces of wool. Now, I've managed to get 7 different colours, but it doesn't need to be all different colours. They can be the same colour, or you can have 2 or 3 different colours, as long as you have 7 strands of wool, and those should be about 50 centimetres long. That's in length, so that you get a bracelet that's long enough once you've woven it to fit round your wrist. So the first thing you have to do is to make your weaving circle for your friendship bracelet. So we have to draw a circle. So we put our cup on top of the card, and then we use our pencil to draw around about it so that we can get a circle like this one. And then take your scissors and then carefully cut round about it. And we're going to use this circle to weave our friendship bracelet. You might need a grown-up to help you to do this, because this card has to be quite firm and it's a wee bit more difficult to cut, so it has to be firm so it doesn't tear while you're doing your weaving. It makes it a bit trickier to cut round. So once you've got your circle, the next job you have to do, get rid of that. So now I've got my circle, and the next job I have to do, which you probably will want an adult to help you to do, is to put a hole in the middle. So I think the middle is about there, so I'm going to put a hole, and I use my scissors to do that. You can use a pencil to do that as well. And then you want to get your pencil again, and you want to draw 8 lines. So I'm going to do one at the top, and they're just small. Can you see how they're just wee nicks, really? And I'm going to do one at the bottom across from it, and then I'm going to do one at the side. So if I thought about this as a clock, I would have one at 12 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 6 o'clock, and 9 o'clock. And then I'm going to do another one between each of those. So all in all, I'm going to have 8. Can you see? I'm going to have 8. So I've got my hole in the centre, and then I've got my pencil lines round the outside, my wee lines going in the way towards the centre, and I've got 8 of those all together. Then I'm going to take my scissors, and I'm going to cut notches. Using my scissors, I'm just cutting where my line is. So I'm cutting in just less than a centimetre in. Has that me done them all? Yes, I have. And I'm going to make my bit in the middle just a bit bigger, my hole in the middle a bit bigger, because my 8 threads, my 8 lengths of wool have to go through that. So here's my wool here. So I've got my 8 strands, sorry, my 7 different colours rather, not 8, it's 7. And I'm just going to make sure that they all start about the same length. And then I'm going to do a knot in that. So I've got all 7 together, and I've made a wee knot at the top. Oops, try that again. Didn't quite work that time. So wrapping it around 2 fingers and then pushing it up in between, up into that hole, and then pulling that tight like that, so that I've got all of my 7 strands of wool together. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that knot and I'm going to force it through that hole. So I'm going to use my scissors to help me because it's maybe not big enough. So force it through and then pull it from that side. Okay, so I've got my knot through and all my other 7 strands are here. So I'm going to pull that back up. So the knot's on that side, the strands are on that side. And then I'm going to take my 7 strands and I'm going to put them through the wee notches. It doesn't matter which order you do them in. So let's make it 4, 5, and I've pulled them quite tight. You can see that I've pulled them quite tight when I've done that. 4, 5, that was 6, and there is my 7th. But if you remember, now it looks a bit like an octopus, doesn't it? It's got the strands all hanging down, and there's what it looks like. It's like a wee wheel, isn't it? Like a bicycle wheel. But you'll remember that there's one extra slot, and it's that extra slot that we're going to continually move our wool round to weave our friendship bracelet. So I always put the extra one to 3 o'clock on the clock. If I was thinking about a clock and I was thinking that at the top was 12, then this one here would be at 3, and then I count back 3 strands, 1, 2, 3, and then I take that third, I take it out of that notch and I put it into the empty notch. Dead easy. Then I turn it round so that the empty notch is at 3 o'clock. I count back 3, 1, 2, 3. I take that one out of there and I put it into the empty notch. Now I've got a new empty notch. I turn it round, then I count back 3, 1, 2, 3. I take that one, third one out and put it into the empty notch. Turn it again so that the empty notch is at 3 o'clock on the clock. Count back 3, 1, 2, 3. Take the third one and put it into the empty notch. Move the empty notch round so it's at 3 o'clock. Count back 1, 2, 3. Take that third strand out, put it into the empty notch. Turn the empty notch round to 3 o'clock. Count back 3, 1, 2, 3. Take it out of that strand out and put it into the empty one. Turn the new empty one round, count back 3, 1, 2, 3. Move that one, put it into the empty notch. Move the empty notch round. Now, all the time, watch that these don't get too tangled. So just keep moving them so that they're loose. So it's easier to move. Otherwise, you end up with a big knot in the back of your friendship bracelet into your loom. So here we go. Here's my empty notch at 3 o'clock. 1, 2, 3. Take it out. Put it in. Empty notch round. 1, 2, 3. Take it out and put it in. You just keep doing that, and just every now and again on the back, give your knot a wee pull. So if you keep weaving, remembering to put the empty notch at 3 o'clock on the clock, counting back 3, 1, 2, 3, moving that one into the empty notch, turning it round, counting back 3, moving it into the empty notch. Your friendship bracelet will continue to grow. And if you just, when it gets a bit bunched up, give it a wee pull, and if I turn it over now, you can see the friendship bracelet coming out the bottom of it. Just trying to make sure, make sure that the strands don't get all tangled up. So continue weaving until your bracelet in the middle is long enough to go round your wrist. And once that's the case, you take off the strands, take off the wool strands from your weaving card. Be careful not to let it unravel. So that's the 7. And then pull it through. And then you need to tie a knot in the other end. So do you remember how to do that? So you do round 2 fingers and push the strands through and then tie a knot at both ends. So you've got your friendship bracelet and you've got your friendship strand just now. And then you need to take both ends and you need to tie those together. So I'm going to put them in and out, and then I'm going to do it in and out again, and that will give you a knot, and then it should slip over your hand so you can get it on and off, or you can get somebody to tie it onto your wrist, or if you're going to give it to a friend, then you can tie it on your friend's wrist. You can decide what you're going to do. So pull it tight, and once you've done that, then cut off the fronds at the end, so you've just got your knot. So cut it off that side too. And then you should be able to put on your friendship band. Of course, if you make more than one, you and your friend could have the same one. So I've got one for me.
Woodland Wesley, the Woodland Tracker here. Wait to see what I found today. But first, I can't believe how much we've learned about Jesus, the greatest guide ever. We found out that he's fed us, calmed a crazy storm, and he's chose 12 people to be his disciples, and they just followed on without even questioning it. And he also taught us the power of being wise. Back to what I found and what I want to show you. I recognise the shape, but it looks a bit broken. If I move these couple of rocks here, it becomes a love heart. The heart could mean love, but I think today it means friendship. Can you let us our random finds know, please?
What's that? Woodland Wesley, the Woodland Tracker's clue is friendship. Hope the story tells us a bit more. Here is another woodland wanderer coming to tell us today's story.
Hi everyone, and welcome to today's story. What we're going to be thinking about today is we're going to be thinking about friendship. So I've got a question for you. Have you ever had a friend that you've fallen out with? I have. But luckily, we've always found a way to manage to make things up and become friends again. This actually reminds me of a story that I've heard of in the Bible, or the greatest guidebook ever as we're liking to call it. And I'm going to share it with you now. What we're going to do is, while we're listening to the story, we're going to think about different emotions and how people would be feeling when all this stuff was happening back at the time. What we're going to do is I'm going to use some emojis just to show you how I think the people that we're talking about would be feeling. But you can ever think about what emoji you would use if you were the person. Would you be angry? Would you be sad? Would you be scared? Would you be feeling a bit goofy? Would you be feeling worried? Stressed? Would you be laughing? Would you be anxious? Would you not feel anything? Would you feel a wee bit numb? So have a wee think, and maybe you could be writing on a piece of paper or drawing your emojis on a piece of paper as you're listening to the story. So let's get started. So for the story to begin, we need to think back to when Jesus was arrested. That's when our story starts. I'm going to read you the bit of the Bible that tells us about when Jesus was arrested just now, and I want you to be thinking about what emotion do you think Jesus would be feeling at that time. So let's start. Jesus was still speaking when Judas, one of the 12 disciples, arrived. With him was a large crowd armed with swords and clubs, and they were sent by the chief priests and the elders. The traitor had given the crowd a signal. The man I kiss is the one you want. Arrest him. Judas went straight to Jesus and said, "Peace be with you, teacher," and kissed him. Jesus answered, "Be quick about it, friend." Then they came up, arrested Jesus, and held him tight. One of those who was with Jesus drew his sword and struck at the high priest's slave, cutting off his ear. "Put your sword back in its place," Jesus said. "All who take the sword will die by the sword. Don't you know that I could call on my Father for help, and at once he would send me more than 12 armies of angels?" So that's the story of when Jesus was arrested. So if you think back when you've heard this story before, Jesus was betrayed by one of his friends, Judas, who went and told the high priest where he was. So how do you think Jesus would be feeling at this time? Well, I think Jesus would be feeling quite nervous to begin with. Imagine if you were standing speaking to your friends and all of a sudden a large crowd with clubs and swords approached you. So I think you would be feeling a bit nervous. I wonder what emoji you think you would be feeling. Next thing we need to think about is what happened after he was arrested. So Jesus was arrested and led away to the high priest, but Peter followed in the distance. So I wonder not how Jesus felt at this time, but I wonder how Peter felt as he followed in the distance. Do you think he felt scared, alone, or confused? Well, I think he would have been a bit shocked. I mean, Jesus has just been arrested, he was led away, and he wouldn't know what's happening. However, I think he would almost be feeling something else. I think he might be feeling a bit confused and wanting to know what was going on, asking lots of why questions. Why are they taking him away? What's going to happen? Why now? Why him? Why did Judas tell them all about Jesus? So, he could have been scared, he could have been alone, he could have been confused, he could have been quite questioning, he could have been shocked or worried. There's lots of different emotions you can feel at any one time. So, what happened next in the Bible is that Peter, who had followed Jesus and who on the journey to the high priest, actually met a group of people and he actually denied Jesus. And what that means is he said he wasn't his friend. So we're going to listen to what happened with that just now. And again, thinking about how the different people in the story would have felt. So, what happened first is Peter walks up and sits down next to a fire, and a woman walks up to the fire and puts a log on it. She notices Peter and says, "This man was with Jesus." Peter looked worried, replying, "Woman, I don't even know that man." Then another man appeared, and he was warming his hands by the fire, and stares at Peter and accusingly says, "You are one of them." Peter then replied instantly, "No, I'm not, no, I'm not," and looked quite guilty. So he's feeling quite guilty because he said he didn't know his friend, he wasn't with him. Then another woman walked over and walked up to Peter and said, "This man must have been with Jesus. They are both from Galilee." Peter was annoyed and scared all at the same time and said, "I don't know what you're talking about." What happened next was the Lord turned and looked at Peter, and Peter wept bitterly. He was crying, he was upset, maybe he was a bit disappointed with himself. So, that's the story of how Peter denied Jesus. Basically, people said, "You are with Jesus, you know Jesus," and Peter said, "No, I don't, no, I don't." And that's meant to be one of his really good friends. So, what we're going to talk about now is, what does this story have to do with friendship? And how does it relate to us now? So, basically, we know that Peter mucked up big time, okay? He made an error, we made a mistake. And if the truth be told, we're all kind of a bit like Peter and muck things up every now and again. Now, there's not many of us that walk about and say to loads of people, we don't know Jesus, we don't know who he is. But we do keep doing things that are wrong, and sometimes we just can't help it. The problem for us is that Jesus being God means he is perfect. He can't have friendship with us because you can't have bad and good in the same place. Think of it like light and darkness. Can you be in a room where it's both dark and light at the same time? You can't. That's kind of like bad and good. So imagine you were in a pitch black room and it was completely dark. If you were to turn on a light or a torch in that room, you would say, oh, it's light, I can see. There's no darkness left. It's kind of like bad and good. If there's good, you can't have bad at the same time. Now, it's not all doom and gloom. I'm not saying that we can't be friends with Jesus, because something happened in the Bible that allowed it to be so. So we all know the story of Jesus dying on the cross. We hear it at Easter time every year. Now, what we don't actually think about is that Jesus, at the time, knew that Peter and all of us would muck up in the same way. Jesus also wants to be friends with us too. That is why, in the next part of the story, Jesus had to die. The only way a friendship was possible was for Jesus to die on that cross. When he died, what he actually did was he took all the bad things we do to him, to all our mistakes and all our muck-ups, and he took them away. Jesus knew that he was going to die. In fact, that's why he came to be originally. This means everyone who asks Jesus can be forgiven and have a friendship with him. All we need to do is ask. Now, obviously, if he had died, people at the time were really sad and thought that was the end, thought that the friendship was over. However, if we remember back the story that we've heard, something very special actually happened at Easter time. And what was that? Well, Jesus came back. So it didn't end with Jesus' death. 3 whole days later, the most amazing thing happened. He rose again from the dead. In doing this, Jesus showed that he is God. So normally when people pass away or die, we think it's very sad and it's very emotional. And that's what people felt when Jesus died. They were all really sad and didn't know what was going to happen. However, now when we look back on it, Jesus actually dying was some good news. In fact, it was great news. We call it great news because we can now have the friendship with Jesus, and that was what Peter was about to discover. So Peter also discovered that even although he had made a mistake and he said he didn't know Jesus and that they weren't friends, because Jesus died and rose again, and then he asked for forgiveness, Jesus and Peter could be friends. Now, we do know that friendships can be quite complicated, and you'll probably have found that out yourselves when you're with your friends. However, just remember that you always have a friendship with Jesus, and with your friends that you have just now, things can always be made better if you both ask for forgiveness and make things right.
Wow! Isn't friendship a wonderful and complicated thing?
It is indeed. Let's sing and dance to our next song, Wake.
To your
Wesley the woodland tracker found was made out of stone, because friendship is strong and sturdy like a stone.
Wow, that is a very deep thought for you, Dr. Falls. I think it might be craft time while we ponder that.
So for this craft we need either normal poster paints or acrylic paints, is which I've used. We need a Sharpie pen. We need 2 stones, 2 kind of a flat stones. I found these flat stones on holiday which are really good. We need 2 paintbrushes. We need some water for cleaning our brushes, and we need a glue solution again of 2 parts glue to 1 part water. And this is what we're going to do. We're going to draw a picture on a stone. I've chosen a heart, but you might want to do a rainbow, or if your best friend likes flowers or the sun or sunflowers, you can do whatever thing you like. And the idea is that you pick somebody who's a good friend to you. It could be anybody you want, old or young, and you keep one of the stones which matches the other one, and you give the other one to them. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to do that now. So the first thing to do is to take your pen and draw a heart on the stone. Now, if you're not really good at drawing, or you've got trouble with this, you could make a stencil before you do it, and that will save you any hassle, or if you're worried at all. Now, even if you don't have paints and you've just got Sharpie pens or pens, you can do it just with that. That's just as nice. Okay, now I've already done a wee selection of colours to match. So the idea is I started off with the darker colour, and I just took it and I went right along the edge of my line and just kept going. Okay, so I painted that all the way along. Now you can decide what you want to do on yours, but the idea again, as I said, is to pass it on to a friend. So basically you just keep painting your colours. I started from the outside in, as it was easier, and once you've finished it, leave it to dry. I've left this one that I made earlier to dry, and then just to make it a wee bit more so that you could put it outside in all weathers, you want to give it a wee finish on the top. Now, if you've got Mod Podge, you could use that, but not everybody has that solution which you can buy in craft shops. So this is just a wee homemade one. So I'm giving it a wee stir up so the glue's quite thick. And I'm just going to go over the top of the stone. Now, don't worry, it shows up as white, but the white dries clear. Got a wee dribble there. And all this does is it's waterproofing and sealing the top of your stone, so that if you were to put it outside, it would give it a nice glossy finish. And I'm being quite generous with this. Now, if you're using poster paints, just be a wee bit more delicate, because the glue will lift the poster paint. And as you see, I'm just doing the whole top of the stone, just round and round and round, so that it's nice and neat. And when that dries, it will dry clear and it will look lovely. Okay, so that's our friendship stones, and remember to give it to someone who's been a good friend to you, either your best friend or maybe your mum or a gran or an auntie or a neighbour. Maybe someone's been really kind to you this weather and you just want to show them how much you love them and how much you appreciate them, and they would love to have this stone.
Well, today is the last day of our wander through the woodland, and we have had 5 clues from Woodland Wesley, the woodland tracker. Can you remember what they all were, Dr. Falls?
Of course I can. I might lose my compass all the time, but I am very good at remembering clues. The first one was follow.
Yep. And we know that if we follow the greatest guide ever, we will be right on track.
The second clue was listen and obey.
That's right. And remember, if we ever feel a bit lost or that we have strayed from the track, Jesus says, listen and obey me.
The third clue was even the wind and waves obey him.
Correct. And this clue reminds us always to be wise and to try and make the right choices.
The fourth clue was bread and fish. That one made me hungry.
Yes, it's not just to remind us though that Jesus provides us with food, but he provides us with love and compassion.
Well, isn't that a coincidence? The final clue was friendship.
It was indeed. We always have a friend in Jesus, the greatest guide ever. No matter how we are feeling, the friendship we have with Jesus and God never changes. Now, before I finish, I want to leave you all with one of my random facts. Did you know that 1/3 of the world's land area is covered in forests? But this next one is my favourite. It's very easy to identify dogwood in a forest by its back. Did you get it? Dogwood tree back.
It's really not that funny.
Well, I thought it was hilarious. Anyway, everybody, today I challenge you to look about your home or your community and take a picture of something that represents friendship or love and send it to us at the Facebook page so we can show everyone that our local community is rich with love and friendship. We hope you've all had a fantastic week wandering the woods with us and that you enjoy the rest of your summer holiday. Let's finish the week with a prayer. Let us pray. Dear God, thank you for being my friend. Help me to remember to talk to you all through the day. Help me to listen so I can hear your voice. Help me to see the things you want to show me and to do the things you want me to do. Thank you that you are always with me and that you are the greatest guide ever. Amen.